They thought your silence meant defeat. But silence was only the sound of your roots growing deeper. They thought your tears were weakness. But tears watered the ground for a greater harvest. They tried to bury you in shame. But the very soil of your pain became the place of your resurrection. Every strike against you carved strength into your soul. Every rejection taught you the dignity of waiting for what is true. Every loss sharpened your vision for what cannot be stolen. Listen, brokenness is not the end. It is the workshop of restoration. It is the furnace where faith learns to endure. It is the dark night that makes the dawn unavoidable. They tried to reduce you, but God does not restore in fractions. He restores in abundance. He restores with overflow. He restores in ways beyond what you imagined. You lost much, yes, but loss was never the final word, for the author of your story is not finished. What he writes in the next chapter will redeem the ink of your past. The trial was heavy, but the reward is heavier still. The pain was sharp, but the healing will be deeper. The humiliation was bitter, but the honor will be sweeter. Do you see the pattern? The very weight of your suffering is the measure of your coming glory. The very depth of your wounds is the proof of your rising strength. The very attempt to shatter you is the evidence of the crown prepared for you. So let them say what they will. Let them strike where they can, for every blow has already been counted, and every tear has already been numbered. And when the page turns, you will not merely stand where you once were. You will stand taller, stronger, brighter, not with what you lost, but with double what was taken. Double courage, double wisdom, double peace, double joy. This is not recovery. It is transformation. This is not return. It is multiplication. This is not survival. It is victory. So when you look back at the ruins, do not grieve what was destroyed, for ruins are only the raw material of glory, and ashes are only the soil where beauty grows. Hear this truth. They tried to break you, but you cannot be broken, only remade. And God is restoring double, not just for your trouble, but because of it. They tried to break you, and for a moment it seemed they succeeded. Your strength cracked under the weight. Your confidence collapsed under the pressure. Your dreams shattered into fragments you could barely recognize. But brokenness is not the end. It is not the last chapter. It is the soil, the hidden place, the ground where something new begins to take root. When glass breaks, we call it useless. But when a seed breaks, we call it life. Your breaking was not destruction. It was germination. Something buried in you had to break so something greater could live. Look closely at your own story. The moments you thought were ruin were the moments of planting. The nights you thought were wasted were the nights your roots were reaching deeper. The cracks in your heart became the openings through which light could finally enter. You see, strength is never born in ease. Strength is born in the wound. Strength is born in the tear, the scar, the breaking. The soil of brokenness is richer than the soil of comfort. Nothing grows on marble floors, but flowers bloom in the dirt. Perhaps they mocked your weakness. Perhaps they whispered, "He will never rise again." Perhaps they pointed at your scars as proof of your defeat. But what they call weakness, God calls foundation. What they call shame, God calls seed. What they call ruin, God calls the beginning of restoration. Restoration cannot begin on the polished surface of pride. It begins in the dust of surrender. It begins when we fall low enough to see that the ground itself holds life. It begins when we realize that brokenness has stripped away the false so the true can grow. Think of the tree after a storm. Branches may be broken. Leaves may be scattered. Yet the storm has done what sunshine never could. It forced the roots to dig deeper. And because of the breaking, the tree will stand stronger when the next storm comes. So it is with you. Your breaking was not a punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for the weight of glory that ease could never carry. Do not despise your scars. Scars are not signs of weakness. Scars are the map of your survival. Scars are the evidence that the wound did not win. And scars, like soil, carry the memory of what once was buried but has now grown. Yes, brokenness hurts. It empties us. It humbles us. But only the emptied vessel can be filled again. Only the humbled ground can be planted with new life. This is why your story does not end in the fracture. The fracture is where the rebuilding begins. The fracture is where light finds its entry. The fracture is where strength grows roots deeper than pain. You thought you were finished, but you were only planted. You thought you were buried, but you were actually seeded. You thought it was death, but it was the beginning of resurrection. The soil of brokenness carries a secret. It carries the power of multiplication. One seed breaks and many fruits come forth. One tear falls and joy grows greater than sorrow. One loss wounds you, and yet the return will be double. This is why you cannot measure your life by what was broken. You must measure it by what will grow. You must measure it not by the cracks, but by the harvest. You must measure it not by the pain, but by the strength it produced. So when you look at your broken places, see them not as ruins but as fields. Fields waiting for rain, fields waiting for seed. Fields where restoration is already rising from the soil. They tried to break you, but they only succeeded in planting you. And what is planted in faith cannot remain hidden. It must rise. It must grow. It must bear fruit. Brokenness became the soil. But what of the hands that tried to break you? What of the voices that pushed you down? What of the schemes designed to diminish you? Every strike against you was meant to reduce you. But instead it became the very substance that raised you. Every wound was meant to silence you, but it sharpened your voice with clarity. Every betrayal was meant to destroy trust, but it deepened your wisdom to discern truth. The attempt to diminish you did not weaken you. It furnished you. It armed you. It built the strength that comfort could never give. Think of the stone under pressure. The world calls it worthless rock, but pressure transforms it into a diamond. The blows do not ruin it. They reveal it. So it was with you. The pressure revealed what ordinary days could not. The attempt to reduce you uncovered the treasure hidden inside you. You were told you were not enough. Yet that very lie forced you to discover that you were more than enough. You were told to sit in silence. Yet the silence trained your heart to hear the voice of wisdom. You were told you had lost. Yet the loss gave birth to a strength no one could steal. Do not despise the attempt to diminish you. It was the raw material of your rise. It was the iron that forged your resilience. It was the fire that purified your motives. It was the weight that built your capacity. Yes, they tried to reduce your value, but value does not decrease when it is hidden. Gold buried underground does not lose its worth. It only waits to be found. So while they tried to bury you, they did not realize they were positioning you. They pushed you into the soil, not knowing that soil is where seeds grow. Every insult became fertilizer. Every rejection became instruction. Every limitation became direction. And every fall became preparation for a higher rise. Remember Joseph, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, cast into prison. Every step was meant to diminish him, but each step was only a stair leading him toward the palace. The attempt to bury his destiny only pushed him closer to it. So it is with you. The very weight meant to crush you became the platform to lift you. The very ridicule meant to silence you became the testimony that gives you voice. The very scarcity meant to starve you became the hunger that fuels your vision. This is the paradox of suffering. The more they tried to take from you, the more they added to you. The more they tried to close your doors, the more you discovered doors within. The more they tried to break your spirit, the more unbreakable you became. Think of the eagle. When storms rise, other birds flee. But the eagle does not escape the storm. It rides the storm. The same wind that threatens to crush it becomes the wind that carries it higher. So too with you. The same opposition meant to diminish you has become the very force that elevates you. Do not fear what is against you, for what is against you is secretly working for you. Every attempt to hinder you is a disguised teacher. Every attempt to shame you is a hidden lesson. Every attempt to break you is the very ingredient of your breakthrough. And when you stand higher, when you speak stronger, when you shine brighter, it will not be in spite of what was done against you. It will be because of it. The very material meant to weaken you has become the stone under your feet. The very pain meant to silence you has become the power in your voice. The very rejection meant to exclude you has become the place where your true belonging begins. So let them try, let them diminish, let them scatter. For they do not know the mystery, that every blow against you becomes the seed of your rising. Every effort to reduce you becomes the soil of your multiplication. Every attempt to diminish you becomes the material for your rise. They tried to diminish you, but every attempt became the material of your rise. And when the rising begins, it does not return you to where you were before. It lifts you beyond. It restores you not to the measure of what was lost, but to a measure that overflows. God's justice is not subtraction reversed. It is not merely a balance restored. It is multiplication. It is abundance born out of affliction. It is double portion rising from the ashes of loss. Think of Job, who lost everything, his wealth, his children, his health, yet in the end he received twice as much as he had before. The story was not about survival, it was about multiplication, and the pattern remains the same. Loss is never the final calculation, for divine justice is not arithmetic, it is exponential. You thought restoration meant to get back what you lost, but God does not return in equal measure. He returns in overflow. He turns your mourning into dancing. He clothes your sackcloth with garments of praise. He multiplies peace where once there was anxiety. He multiplies hope where once there was despair. He multiplies strength where once there was weakness. This is why your brokenness became soil, because soil never gives back a seed as a seed. It always gives back a seed multiplied into harvest. One seed falls and many stalks rise. One tear falls and joy grows in double measure. One loss wounds you, and yet the return is greater than the pain that birthed it. Justice in the hands of men tries to balance scales, but justice in the hands of God tips the scales in your favor. He is not content with making you whole as you were. He makes you greater than you were. He is not content with giving you back what was stolen. He gives you treasures you did not expect. He is not content with ending the pain. He uses the pain as the platform of your purpose. Look at your scars again. They are not only reminders of what you endured, they are also evidence of what you gained. You did not only come back healed, you came back wiser. You did not only come back standing, you came back stronger. You did not only come back whole, you came back multiplied. Think of the harvest after famine. The earth looks barren, the fields empty, the people hungry. But when rain finally comes, the ground does not simply replace what was eaten. It bursts with abundance. It multiplies grain beyond what was sown. And those who once hungered now feast on more than enough. So too with your life. The famine of your past was not the end. It was the stage set for overflow. For when justice comes, it comes multiplied. What was taken will be returned in double measure. What was broken will be restored with greater beauty. What was delayed will arrive in multiplied timing. This is why you must not measure your future by your past. If you lost much, expect more. If you wept deeply, expect greater joy. If you suffered long, expect multiplied reward. For the length of your suffering is not wasted. It is the measure of your return. Do not envy those who never tasted loss. Do not compare your story to those who walked an easier road. For their ease cannot produce the multiplication that your pain prepared. The deep wound makes room for deeper healing. The long night makes way for brighter dawn. The heavy burden makes space for greater blessing. Even in nature the pattern holds true. Pruning cuts the branch, but pruning multiplies the fruit. Fire burns the forest, but from the ashes new life comes in greater fullness. Storms break the ground, but broken ground yields richer harvest. So it is with you. You are not coming back to where you were. You are coming back greater. You are not recovering what was lost. You are receiving more than you imagined. You are not ending with balance. You are ending with overflow. Every attempt to diminish you became the material for your rise, and now every loss will become the foundation of multiplication. This is the rhythm of divine justice. This is the mystery of restoration. It does not return in fractions. It restores in abundance. It restores in double. Multiplication is never born in comfort. It is born in struggle. It is born in the hard soil of trial. It is born in the deep night of suffering. Ease produces convenience, but suffering produces strength. Ease makes us soft, but suffering makes us unshakable. Ease gives us knowledge of comfort, but suffering gives us wisdom for life. You prayed for strength, and life gave you struggle, because struggle is the only school where true strength is taught. You prayed for patience, and life gave you delay, because patience can only grow in the soil of waiting. You prayed for courage, and life gave you fear, because courage is not the absence of fear, it is walking forward in the midst of it. This is why suffering is not wasted. It refines, it purifies, it chisels away what is false and leaves only what is true. It removes pride, it teaches humility, it reveals what really matters. Think of metal in the fire. Unrefined, it is mixed with impurities, but when the fire burns hot, the impurities rise to the surface. The fire does not destroy the metal, it purifies it. It makes it strong, it makes it valuable. So too, your suffering did not destroy you. It revealed your true self. It refined your soul into strength that ease could never give. Ease cannot teach you resilience. Ease cannot teach you endurance. Ease cannot teach you the kind of faith that stands when everything else falls. Only suffering can do this. Only suffering can train the heart to hold fast when nothing else is certain. Only suffering can teach you that what is inside you is greater than what is against you. Yes, the nights were long. Yes, the weight was heavy. Yes, the tears seemed endless. But every tear was carving out space for deeper joy. Every weight was building unseen muscles in your soul. Every night was sharpening your vision for the light that would come. You know this now. You are stronger not because life was easy, but because it was hard. You are wiser not because everything worked, but because much was broken. You are braver not because fear left you, but because you walked through fear. And this is why your suffering is not your shame. It is your strength. It is the evidence that you endured. It is the proof that you overcame. It is the sign that your roots run deeper than the storm that tried to break you. Do not despise the fire that refined you, for without the fire you would not shine. Do not curse the storm that shook you, for without the storm you would not stand firm. Do not reject the pain that humbled you, for without the pain you would not carry compassion for others who suffer. Ease may give you rest, but it does not give you depth. Ease may give you laughter, but it does not give you wisdom. Ease may give you peace for a moment, but it does not give you the strength to build peace for a lifetime. Suffering gave you what ease could never give. Suffering gave you resilience. Suffering gave you perspective. Suffering gave you faith. Suffering gave you strength. And that strength is not temporary. It is eternal. It is the kind of strength that carries you through every season. It is the kind of strength that cannot be taken by circumstance. It is the kind of strength that multiplies everything you touch. Now when storms rise, you no longer tremble, because you have already endured storms before. Now when fear whispers, you no longer retreat, because you have already walked through darker valleys. Now when loss comes, you no longer despair, because you know what is lost can be restored in double measure. This is the power of suffering. It refines you into a soul that cannot be broken. It strips away what is shallow and builds what is eternal. It takes you where ease cannot go. It turns weakness into resilience. It turns sorrow into wisdom. It turns trial into triumph. So yes, you suffered, but you are stronger now. Stronger than you ever believed you could be. Stronger than the storm that tried to break you. Stronger than the voices that tried to diminish you. Stronger than the losses that tried to define you. This strength was not born in ease. It was born in fire. It was born in tears. It was born in the soil of your suffering. And now that strength is the foundation of everything yet to come. Suffering refined you. But refinement was not the final destination. It was preparation. Preparation for the glory that could not come any other way. The fire was heavy. The storm was fierce. The burden was real. But the weight of trial is always lighter than the glory that follows. You thought the trial would crush you, yet it did not. It carved space inside you for something greater. You thought the weight would break you. Yet it did not. It built the muscles of faith to carry a blessing larger than before. Trials feel endless when you are in them. Nights stretch long, tears refuse to stop, questions multiply without answers. But every trial has a limit, every storm has an end. Every burden has a point where it must break. Glory, however, has no limit. When it comes, it overflows. When it arrives, it stays. When it shines, it covers the years of darkness with a light so bright the shadows cannot be remembered. Do not measure your future by the weight of your past. Do not judge your destiny by the heaviness of your present. Because trial is temporary, glory is eternal. Because pain is fleeting, but purpose is forever. Think of a mother in labor. The weight of pain is undeniable. But when the child is placed in her arms, the suffering is eclipsed by joy. The pain is not erased, but it is outweighed. The trial was real, but the glory is greater. This is your story. The trial was deep. The nights were bitter. The silence was painful. But the glory that follows will outweigh every moment. It will not only cover the pain, it will redefine it. The very scars that once made you weep will make you grateful. The very valleys that once felt endless will become the proof of how far you've climbed. The very burdens that once seemed unbearable will look small compared to the joy you now carry. This is the divine balance. Trial feels heavy when glory is hidden. But when glory appears, trial looks light. What once seemed unbearable becomes unforgettable testimony. What once seemed endless becomes a chapter in a larger story. What once seemed dark becomes the contrast that makes the light shine brighter. Think of the athlete who trains under crushing weight. Every repetition feels impossible. Every moment of pain feels endless. But when the competition arrives, the strength gained makes the weight seem light. The glory of victory overshadows the agony of preparation. So it is with you. Your preparation was heavy. Your suffering was real, but it was never greater than the glory it was making room for. The pain was deep, but the blessing will be deeper. The weight was strong, but the glory will be stronger. This is why you did not break under trial. You were not built to collapse. You were built to carry glory. You were not crushed by the weight of pain. You were carved to contain abundance. You were not abandoned in suffering. You were prepared for multiplication. Now, when you look back, the burden that once bent your shoulders will seem small. The nights that once broke your heart will feel like whispers compared to the joy that sings over you now. The tears that once drowned your vision will look like drops compared to the rivers of peace flowing through you. This is the promise, that the glory always outweighs the suffering, that the end always overshadows the middle, that the light always eclipses the darkness. You were refined in the fire, but the fire was not your home. It was only the workshop. The masterpiece was always meant to shine brighter than the flames that shaped it. The trial was temporary, but the strength it produced is permanent. The pain was sharp, but the glory it birthed is limitless. The sorrow was real, but the joy that follows is greater than sorrow could ever be. So hold this truth in your soul. The weight of trial is always lighter than the glory that follows, and the glory that now rises in you is greater than the pain that tried to hold you down. The glory outweighed the trial, but glory does more than lift the burden. It changes you. It reshapes you. It transforms you into someone who is not who you were before. Restoration is not recovery. Recovery brings you back to what was. Restoration carries you forward to what never was. Recovery repairs the cracks. Restoration rebuilds the foundation. Recovery patches the wound. Restoration makes the wound a source of wisdom and strength. You thought the goal was to get back what you lost. But God does not recycle your past. He remakes your future. He does not simply return what was stolen. He replaces it with something greater. He does not simply fix the damage. He transforms the broken into beauty. Think of the pottery once shattered. Recovery would glue the pieces together, fragile and weak. But restoration remolds the clay, fires it in the kiln, and makes it stronger than before. The vessel is not merely repaired, it is reborn. This is your story. You are not the same as before the trial. You are not simply back to where you once stood. You are standing taller, deeper, stronger. You are carrying more wisdom, more compassion, more clarity. The storm did not return you to who you were. It transformed you into who you were meant to be. Ease could never give you this. Comfort could never shape you like this. Recovery could never lift you this high, because restoration is not about going back. It is about becoming more. This is why the pain had purpose. It carved away what was unnecessary. It stripped off what was false. It burned out what was shallow. And what remains is not a weaker version of you. What remains is a truer, stronger, greater version of you. The old you was whole in appearance, but the new you is whole in depth. The old you walked with certainty, but the new you walks with wisdom. The old you lived in the shadow of fear, but the new you stands in the strength of courage. Restoration is not recovery. It is transformation. It is ashes turning into beauty. It is mourning turning into dancing. It is sorrow turning into joy. Not equal, not balanced, multiplied. Even nature carries this truth. A forest fire looks like destruction, but when the flames are gone, new life springs forth, richer than before. The soil is more fertile. The growth is more abundant. The land is not recovered. It is renewed. So it is with your soul. The fire was not the end. It was the beginning of something stronger. You are not simply restored. You are renewed. You are not merely standing again. You are walking in greater strength. You are not only whole, you are complete in a way you never knew before. This is why scars no longer shame you. They do not mark weakness. They testify of survival. They remind you of the fire, but also of the strength that emerged from it. They are not signs of recovery. They are signs of transformation. Now you carry peace that cannot be stolen. Now you carry joy that is deeper than circumstance. Now you carry wisdom that pain alone could teach. Now you carry a strength that trial could not defeat. Restoration looks at your broken pieces and says, I will not simply glue them back. I will make them new. I will not merely return you to what was. I will transform you into what will be. So when you look at your journey, do not wish to go back. You are not meant to return. You are meant to rise. You are not meant to recover. You are meant to be transformed. You are not meant to stand where you fell. You are meant to stand higher than you ever stood before. And this is why every trial mattered. This is why every loss counted. This is why every tear was seen, not to bring you back, but to carry you forward, not to restore the old, but to unveil the new, not to recover what was lost, but to reveal what was hidden inside you all along. Restoration is not recovery. It is transformation into greater wholeness. It is the mystery that turns pain into power. It is the promise that turns trial into triumph. It is the glory that turns brokenness into beauty.